Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name is Veda and this is The Simple Budget. Here on my channel I show you how my family is using the zero-based budgeting method in order to get out of debt and simplify our financial life. If that sounds like content that you're interested in, I would love it if you would hit the subscribe button and join our little crew here. And with that being said, let's get into today's video. All right, well, first and foremost, I hope you guys had a safe and happy 4th of July. I hope that you all kept your fingers because I know that fireworks are a little hairy sometimes. We ended up doing a little block party here on my street in my neighborhood with our just like local neighbors. And there were so many fireworks. And I know that like, as diligent as we all are at paying attention to our kids, there were points where we were like, wait, what are you lighting on fire? But everyone has their fingers still today, so that's great news. Anyways, I'm here filming my debt update, which is exciting stuff. So I'm going to go ahead and link my original debt confession up above for you guys, which was kind of the catalyst for me kind of waking up to our financial situation. My husband has always been the one who's been much more involved in our finances and caring about them, and realizing how much debt we had was certainly a big moment for me, and just deciding that I needed to be an active participant in our financial life here. So I will go ahead and link that original video for you guys above. It is the amount of debt that we started off the year with. That is what is on this sheet in front of me here. Our original total was $58,947.30. And I will also make sure to link our quarter one update for you guys. So I filmed it, I think at the end of March. I will link that above now. I'll put a little card in the screen for you guys so that you can click over there and see what we achieved in quarter one. I will do a brief like rundown of everything so that if you don't feel like going back and watching those videos, this one will give you as much information as is relevant anyway. So don't feel like you need to check out those videos, but if you want full explanations, especially an explanation of the debt itself, that first debt confession is going to be the one that really offers the explanation. So let's go ahead and just get stuck in. Since I've already gone over with you guys, our original total was $58,947.30. We had 4 debts at the beginning of the year that did not include our mortgage. We do not include our mortgage in the debt because a home is an investment more than it is a debt. It's certainly a debt if you can't afford it, if you can't afford to maintain the payments. And you certainly shouldn't go into purchasing a home thinking that you're just going to be able to flip it around in a year or so. That's a risky sort of thing to delve into. But that is why our mortgage is not listed here. We started off the year with 2 credit cards, a 401k loan, and our car. Our smallest balance was $4,762.35. We are somewhat adhering to the debt snowball method, which I will just briefly explain now. The debt snowball method is you list all of your debts in order from smallest balance to largest balance. So it doesn't have anything to do with interest or anything like that. It's just smallest balance to largest balance. You pay all of the minimum payments on each debt, but any extra money that you have in your budget at the end of the month or at the end of your pay period or whatever it is goes toward your smallest balance, with the idea being that you pay off that smallest balance first, and then you roll the minimum payment from the smallest balance and the extra money that you had at the end of each pay period toward your next smallest balance. My husband and I flipped the script on that a little bit, and I will just briefly explain. I'm trying to make this not the longest video known to man, but what we ended up doing in the first quarter was paying off our Chase credit card. And instead of rolling all of the money over to our car, what we decided to do next, because this is our largest balance. Our Visa balance was actually really close to the, my gosh, I can't think of the word. Really close to it was really close to maxed out. And so what we decided to do after we paid this one off was actually throw all of our extra money toward this one so that we could get the balance under $20,000. And then after we did that, we were going to resume the traditional snowball method and pay down our next smallest debt, which was actually our car. So we, in the first quarter, succeeded in paying off the Chase credit card, and then we started moving all of our extra money toward our Visa. So I will now go into each individual debt. I will go over with you the payments that we made on each of them over the last couple of months. So since the last update in March, and then the new balances as of this month. Well, the new balances as of the end of June. So I'm going to go ahead and get you guys zoomed in just a little bit further. I'll move my calculator off to the side, and then I'll break everything down for you further. So let's get into it. So as I mentioned just a few moments ago, we paid off our smallest balance credit card actually in the first quarter. So I'm not even going to bother going over that with you because it's just completely unnecessary. The balance is now zero. And I'm actually going to go ahead and get into the 401k loan because this is the one that's going to be getting the least amount of attention from us for a very long time. This one had a starting balance of $19,373.94. The interest on it is 1.5%, but because it's a 401k loan, that 1.5% actually gets paid back to us. This debt actually gets paid every pay period because the money automatically is drafted from my husband's check. So we don't ever even see the money that goes towards this. It's roughly $446 a month, but again, it depends entirely and completely on the pay periods and the way that the schedule falls. So it varies. But this one never misses a payment because it's auto drafted from his check. So it's not even, we don't have to worry about remembering to pay it on time or anything like that. We don't ever even see this cash. So our goal payoff for this is August of 2024, so that would be next year. This is the last debt we will be paying down because it is the least offensive to our finances, just because the interest goes back to us. And even though this is money that we should have sitting in our 401k right now, instead of being indebted to ourselves, essentially, we don't have to worry about interest. Basically, that's what that boils down to, is because this one is such low interest and it's paid back to us anyway. This is not one that we are being aggressive with right now. We will be aggressive with it. We will put the same amount of aggression toward this one once it's turn. But right now, this is just, even though it falls lower on the scale in terms of the balance is concerned, as far as the balance is concerned, it's lower on the importance scale, or it's higher on the importance scale because it should be getting paid before our largest balance, which is our Visa credit card. But because, again, I'm saying this for the third time now, the interest is being paid back to us. This is one that it is low on the priority list for us. So in the beginning part of this year, in January and February, it got the same amount of payment. It was $447.96. The balance shifted only slightly from $19,373.94 to $18,948.20, and then $18,521.97. In the month of March, it got an extra pay because it was a magic month, and so that reduced the balance to $17,881.70. Then, so this is when I updated you guys last. Then in the month of April, it got its same $447.76. That brought the balance down to $17,464.30. And then in May, it got $671.94. There's a whole calendar explanation for why this was essentially a magic month for the 401k loan and not for our actual paycheck, but it would be a really long, ridiculous explanation. And because I forgot to update this at the end of May, I actually don't know what the balance was at the end of May. I'm sorry. That's a terrible update. Like, this is supposed to be a debt update, which means that you're supposed to be getting a balance at the end of every month, but I don't have it for you. I do apologize for that. Then in June, it got its normal $447.96. And so now the balance of the 401k loan is $16,597.83. And so let me just bust out my calculator really quickly. 19,373.94 minus 16,597.83. So that means that we paid $2,776.11, or the balance came down $2,776.11. So I'm going to go ahead and flip over to our next debt. This is the Visa. So as I mentioned to you at the beginning of the video, this starting balance of $26,491.40 was really, really close to the limit. So after we paid off our smallest balance, and we never ever made the minimum payment of $197. I think we always did, like, it was either $200 or $250 or something like that, just to make sure that we were like eating away at the balance a little bit every single month, because we didn't want it to keep going up. So that is actually, let me just sidebar into some advice really quickly. I understand that this may not be possible for everybody, but insofar as you can control it, I would say that while you're doing the debt snowball method, you should not just pay the minimums, because the minimum almost never covers interest. And so you're going to make progress in terms of paying the minimum payment and leaving, you won't be attacked by creditors. But if you actually want to make progress on all of your debts every single month, I would say to you that you need to pay a little bit more than whatever your minimum payment plus interest is. I don't know if Dave Ramsey has ever spoken to this. Like, the debt snowball method was something that we learned from him. And I don't know if he's ever addressed, like, no, don't worry if the balances keep growing. Just keep paying your minimum payment so that you don't, go late on any of your debt while you're paying down your smallest balance and then, moving forward. I don't know if he's ever addressed that, but as far as I'm concerned, your balance is continuing to go up every single month while you're paying down one very aggressively is still psychologically, like, really detrimental. I would think that watching your balances creep up, even though you're paying one off, is still really damaging and also kind of feels futile. Like, it makes your efforts feel futile. And so if you have the financial wiggle room to do it and you've got a list of debts, I would say to make sure that you are paying enough, like paying the minimum amount plus whatever helps your balance go down. Even if it's helping it go down $1 every single month, at least making sure that it doesn't increase because of interest is super, super important. So that's what we did with this one. We never just paid the minimum payment. We always made sure that we were paying enough to keep the balance, like, slowly creeping down. So let's go over, I'll just briefly reiterate everything that I went over in my Q1 update. So the starting balance I already mentioned to you. The minimum payment was $197. Like I said, I think we always paid at least $250. The interest rate on this one is 10%. And then our goal payoff date for this one is April of 2024. So we're being aggressive with this one in the current times, and we will be in the near future as well. So in January, we put $250 toward it because we were paying a huge chunk toward our smallest debt. And so our, that still didn't decrease the balance much. So it went from 26,491.40 to 26,338.01. In February, because it was so close to the limit, we decided to actually put $1,000 toward it instead of putting this $1,000 toward our smallest balance, because we were still like, we're bumping up against the limit here. So let's bring it down a little bit. And so that did knock it down to 25,558.94. And then in March, we went right back to putting $250 toward it, which brought our balance down to $25,531.94. And then, because after March, we paid off our smallest balance credit card, in April, we put all of our extra efforts toward this one because, like I mentioned, we wanted to bring this balance below $20,000. There was no particular reason for that, apart from just wanting it to be below $20,000 and making sure that, they weren't getting as much interest from us, and we just felt more comfortable. Also because we were still kind of going back and forth between keeping the smallest balance credit card open and closing it. And so if we had closed that credit card, we would have had only this available credit at our disposal. And that just made us nervous in the event of like a major emergency, because we do have a $1,000 emergency fund sitting in our account right now. But we were like, in the event of a major emergency, this one being so close to the limit, let's get this one below 20,000 so that we have a little bit more credit at our disposal in the event of a major emergency. So that was also sort of why we decided to start aggressively paying at this one. So in April, we put $1,441.89 on this credit card, and that put the balance down at $24,311.11. In May, we put $1,625.73 toward this one, and that put our balance down to $22,902.15. So as I mentioned, this one was getting all of the extra money that we had in our budget, but that also, that didn't pull away from the other debts that we were paying down. So our car was still being paid, and the 401k loan was still being paid on. So then in June, we had an escrow check come in. And so that gave us some extra money to put toward this one. And that meant that we put $3,122.15 toward this credit card in June. And that means that our balance went down below $20,000, and it's now sitting at $19,972.91. And so now that this one is under $20,000, we are reverting back to the original snowball method and paying our car off. I recognize there are lots of comments that we get about the debt avalanche and all of those kinds of things, but this is just how we're choosing to do it. We want to pay our car off. We want to have that kind of satisfying, definitive ending of a particular debt before we go back to being hyper aggressive with this one. I understand that's not the way that everybody would choose to do it. This is just how we're choosing to do it, and we feel much better being aggressive with the car now that this one is a solid $7,000 under the limit, so that in the event of an emergency, a major emergency, we can use this credit card if we need to. But trust me when I tell you, those days are over. It literally would have to be a catastrophic event that I needed a random $7,000 for in order for me to even justify pulling this thing out anymore. So we are done with that. We are done, I promise. And so that's it. So that's the balance as of the end of June, $19,972. So we hit our goal of putting this one below 20,000, and actually what we're doing moving forward is making a payment of $300 a month. So even though that's more than the original 250 that we said we would be putting toward it, we did want to give it a little boost since interest is so high, so that we could at least see the balance continue to go down while we're paying our car off. I think you guys just saw the fly that just moved forward. I'm sorry, there are still flies in the house. Less of them, but they're still here. Or Trevors, as you've all come to want to call them now. The comments that I saw calling flies Trevors was just so cute. Anyway, that was in my most recent, what was that? It was either in my most recent cash stuffing or my Etsy and YouTube cash stuffing. I can't remember. Anyway, the Trevor story was well appreciated. So let's go ahead and move on to the final debt that we have right now, and that is our car. All right, so last up is the car, and our car had a starting balance of $8,319.61. We have an interest rate on it of 4.49%, which is unheard of in the current market. And I'm almost like, I just need my car to stay alive for much, much longer because, well, our plans for saving for a new car also don't involve taking on any more debt. But that being said, a 4.49% interest rate on a car loan at this point is, you can't get it. So anyway, our minimum payment on our car is $310.84. And our goal payoff date for this one is September of this year. So we're close. We're very, very close to our goal month. So let's dive in and see if we think we can make it. So January, February, and March, it got the minimum payment, $310.84. And I've mentioned this before, but just in case you're new, we are on the back end of our car loan. And so most of our payment actually goes toward principal instead of interest. So this $310.84 makes a decent dent in the balance. As you can see, it went from $8,319.61 to $8,042.54, then to $7,760.39, and then $7,476.28. So then in April, it got its standard $310.84. That knocked the balance down to $7,195.79. In May, it also got its standard car payment of $310.84, which brought the balance down to $6,909.74. But then in June, because we had that escrow check and a little bit of extra money, in addition to what we were already planning to put on our debt, we were able to pay $1,646.12 to our car, and that brought our balance down to $5,297 even. So there's no change on this one. So that means that over the next couple of months, the amount of extra money that we're going to be able to put toward this car is going to make a really significant dent in the balance. And so I'm hopeful that we will be able to, between July, August, and September's payments, actually pay the car off, because September is another magic month for my husband. So that is good news. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead and add up our current balances so that we can see where our debt currently stands and how much progress we've made since January of this year. So we're $5,297. Did I type that right? Yes. $5,297 on our car. We are, it's almost like I have them stacked. $16,597.83 on our 401k loan. And then we are $19,972.91 on the Visa. And so now our debt stands at $41,867.74. So let me just go ahead so our starting was 58,947.30. So that means that we have paid down $17,079.56 since January. We have knocked our debt down that much. So I'm so beyond pleased with that. The $41,000 that we still owe definitely looms. It's not like I don't know that $41,000 of debt is huge. But I'm so proud of what we've achieved so far because we have not acquired any new debt. And we have met or exceeded goals that we have set for ourselves in terms of paying our debt off, or our debts down or off, depending on the progress that we've made. I'm going to jump into some thoughts that I have just because it's something that I have been thinking about pretty much since I started addressing my own spending and taking our finances more seriously. And I understand that I've only had this channel since January. I've only been taking our finances seriously since January, and I am 38 years old, and that's not okay. And if I could just impart any kind of advice or wisdom to you, it's this. These are the thoughts that I have had. You are not free to live the life that you want to live if you are beholden to financial institutions for things that don't give you the life that you're looking to have. I know that we live in a culture that puts so much effort on getting new things. The influencer career is a thing right now. I get paid to make these videos for you. And I have a very small following compared to so many other YouTubers or Instagrammers or whatever it is. And it's insane to me because even with my what I think is a small, it's certainly, there are over 3,000 of you that have hit subscribe on my channel. And I'm so appreciative of that. But that is a relatively small audience compared to a lot of influencers. And the amount of rejections that I have emailed back to companies who want to work with me to influence my following to buy stuff that is meaningless or not helpful to your own financial journey is insane to me. Even my audience is considered big enough to try to offer you products and services and all of this kind of stuff. And I understand that I do talk about things on this channel that I love or things that I purchase, but I actually purchase them with my own money. And if I'm telling you about it, it's because I like it and it means something to me. I don't want you to think that I am being hypocritical here. I recognize that we live in a world where we do purchase goods and services from other people. I have an Etsy shop because I'm trying to earn income. And the way that I earn income is by people buying products from me. But by and large, I shy away from this like influencer culture where I'm talking about stuff that you don't really need in the long run or that doesn't really benefit your own personal financial health and well-being. And bigger than just the fact that I reject a lot of, I've actually, it's surprising to me, I've probably rejected, I don't know, 4 or 5 companies who've reached out to me who want me to talk about their products to you guys. But beyond all of that, even, the only way for you to have true freedom is to be financially free. And the only way to do that is to not participate in this culture that begs you to spend all of your money and then some on stuff that doesn't fill your cup. So that is the big takeaway that I have from January to now, is a lot of my spending was an immediate reaction to a product or a service that I saw that in that moment I felt like I needed, but then actually eventually in the long run realized that I didn't. Except for that now I'm left with the debt that comes from that purchase and that instant gratification behavior. And what I've learned to do, actually, if I really want something, I've learned to kind of sit on it and keep it in my cart, or, walk around with it if I'm in person, before I actually make the purchase. And that has actually really helped me curb some of my spending. But I think that's the thing that I realized is, as much as you can say that you might be above the influence of other people, or you're too old for that or whatever, we're all influenced by something. And I realized just how influenced I was in curbing my spending and realizing that now that I'm moving toward other goals that I have, and I will be talking about those with you guys eventually. I'm so stuck in right now to focusing on my debt and paying that off that I'm allowing this big dream of mine that I have, that I've had for a little while now, to just kind of sit on the back burner, because I don't want to get so impatient that I make a bad decision. I don't want to get so impatient to make that happen, that I make a bad decision up front, before I really have the ability financially to do so. But that's the big thing for me. That's what I've pulled away from this, is none of the things that I have acquired in this debt have moved me toward any meaningful and substantive goal. They've just filled my closet or something and not done anything for me as a person. And I know this is really preachy, and I don't want to turn you guys off or away with that kind of thing, but this has really stuck with me in this last 6 months of paying down this debt. Is I'm not anywhere near where I would like to be, and it's because I didn't control myself, and that's a really heavy thing to have weighing on your head. So I guess if I could try to sum all of that up, it would just be, don't allow the dopamine hit of a purchase, because I would imagine that many of us, those of you who watch my channel, probably struggle with a similar thing. So that's why I'm just going to lay it out. And also, there's no way for me to not be transparent about this. You guys have seen all of my debt, what it has looked like at the beginning and what it looks like now, how far we still have to go. But that's the one thing that I wish that you would take away from my videos is, I make jokes all the time about my HOA, and I make jokes all the time about taxes and all of those kinds of things. And right now, because of our financial situation especially, we can't not live in an HOA. I have to live just the way that Texas works, especially. It's almost impossible to find a neighborhood that isn't bogged down under the thumb of an HOA. And so but I can't not live in an HOA because I didn't have enough long-term drive to look at the second and third order effects of my spending and say, you know what, rather than living in a neighborhood, I want to buy a piece of land and build whatever house I want on that so that I don't have to live under an HOA and pay fees to just another big corporation that doesn't actually care about me or any of the people in my neighborhood. They just collect a fee and sit on a nice little balance and, rarely do their job. But you know what I'm saying? Like the things that I spent money on didn't move me toward something that's actually meaningful to me, which would be to own my own land, build a house that doesn't look like every other house that surrounds me, have a little bit of property, to have a garden that I can grow vegetables and fruits that we eat, to curb our grocery bill, and, extra money laying around to work with a local farmer to source our meat that we eat really well. Like, all of these things are actually meaningful to me. And because of the financial situation that we find ourselves in right now, I can't do them. So that's what I want all of us to be thinking about moving forward is, what are our financial goals? What do we want our lives to look like on a day-to-day basis? And what are we spending money on that prevents us from having those things, from doing those things, from filling our cup in a meaningful way that's not just a dopamine hit from a cute bag? And now I think I'm going to step off of my soapbox. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this debt update. I hope that you're encouraged by it. I understand that everybody's paycheck looks different, but the aggression that we can have toward paying off our debt it can be the same. Whether it's $2,000 that you're putting toward your debt every month or $200 that you're putting toward your debt every month, if you're being aggressive with it, as aggressive as you can within the confines of your own budget, you're doing good work. So let's encourage each other in that way. And I would love to hear stories. I always ask for this, but I would love to hear stories of your own personal debt payoff. Like, do you have any, or do you live without debt? And that's awesome. I would love to hear those stories too. Please tell them to us in the comments, all of them, and even your failures, because we can encourage each other through those failures as well. I'm certainly, I'm sitting here still at $41,000 of debt. I certainly don't consider this a success story. I consider what we've achieved wonderful, but I'm not a success story. This is still a story of failure in some capacity. But hopefully we all get to see the eventual success on the other side of this. So if you guys enjoyed this video, please do give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I really would love it if you would join in here. I love our community. I love what we have going here at The Simple Budget. So I hope you guys enjoyed your 4th of July. Like I said, I hope you guys enjoyed this bonus video, and then I will see you guys on Friday with a regular old weekly check-in, because holy smokes, we just had a lot to check in from, the last week or so, just with the holiday and a family member in town. So anyways, I hope y'all enjoy the rest of your week, and I look forward to seeing you on Friday. Bye, everyone.